Hey everyone, welcome back to Poplar Preparedness. This video is going to be a bit more of a discussion about what's going on out there in the world and kind of what to do about it. I'm going to lay out some of my thoughts on what I see going on and lay out some of my predictions of what kind of where I see things going a little bit. You may have already picked up on some of this, but I'm going to lay it out for you. So I was just in my house, and I heard this rumbling. It was a pretty loud rumbling. Now, at my house, there's always rumblings. There's cars and trucks going by on the road, and there's trucks that have more oomph to them, and they can get a little noisy. But it was definitely not a truck. I could tell that it wasn't the normal, typical car or truck going by, but it was thunder. It was thunder in the distance, that there's a storm. And I can hear just on the roof here in the garage that it's just started raining. And just like that, in this world, we're hearing rumblings, and a lot of people keep saying, oh, those are just the typical cars and trucks going by. But, my friends, it is not. It is truly a storm coming in, and the rain is about to start. We have become very, very comfortable in a lot of our countries, United States, the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, or wherever else you may be from. We've become rather accustomed to things staying the same, certain rules always holding true. I just started talking a little bit more about nuclear. I have not considered the threat to be imminent, but in the last number of days, I've been seeing enough stuff in the news that it has gotten me concerned that those type of weapons may be used in Eastern Europe. By all accounts, the invasion has slowed down, and as I keep thinking and keep saying, I don't think necessarily winning this one is really going to be in our best interest overall. When you back a nuclear power into a real jam, someone who's really desperate and has a very powerful weapon, that is a scary thing. And that's what it seems like what's happening. It seems like they're being cornered. They're being backed into a corner, and they may do something very scary. There's talk about chemical weapons possibly being used. There's starting to be talk about the possibility of nuclear weapons being used. And I think that in the next coming days, next coming weeks, we may see the first weapons deployed since the 1940s. And that's going to really shake a lot of people up. I think they'll probably be used in Eastern Europe to facilitate their invasion. But that's one of those unwritten rules that I think a lot of people have never expected to be broken. And once it's broken, it's going to open up a scary new world. And with that, all I can say is, folks, as we enter potentially this new nuclear age, you need to start understanding, if you haven't already, what it is, what they really are. They are not the boogeyman. Nuclear winter is a totally bogus concept that has no real factual basis. The study that came up with that were scientists that didn't really have any practical understanding of effects of nuclear weapons. We've had over 500 nuclear weapons detonated in the atmosphere over testing all around the world, and we haven't had nuclear winter from that, okay? There is a lot that can happen. It's not to say that it won't have a little bit of an impact on the climate. We have volcanoes that go off, and they do affect the climate. For sure. If we had a large exchange, that may cause a difference of temperature, a couple degrees, that kind of thing. All that to say, we have not had to examine and understand the effects of nuclear weapons since the 1960s, 1970s. A lot of people have just said that it's unthinkable that they could ever be used, and so therefore I don't have to think about it, I don't have to prepare for it, I don't have to do anything with it. If it happens, it's just the end of the world. I'm just going to lay down and die, and, you know. Friends, that's not a great plan of action. What you need to do is you need to start understanding what those things are, what they can do, what they can't do. It's like somebody who has no interaction with snakes except what they see on TV and such, and then they say, well, if I ever come across a snake, well, I'll be so terrified I'll just die. Friends, I hate to say it like this, but grow up. There are things in our world that are happening, like cryptocurrency. It's happening. You can either choose not to participate in it, or you can choose to understand it. And with things like that, you can opt in or out, and that's fine. But when we're talking about things that are happening in the world that you don't really get a choice of, if you're near a city, or if you're outside of a city or whatever, and it gets attacked, you should probably have some basic understanding of what has just transpired and what you can and what you should do about it. We have our food systems being destabilized, and we have people all around us who don't understand how the supply chain works. Magic happens and food shows up in the store. When you say there's problems with the supply chain, they say, no, you don't understand the magic. The magic works, and then food shows up at the store. And it's like, yeah, but there's a diesel shortage that's forming right now. And they go, I don't understand all that. Food just shows up at the store. We need to move beyond our ignorance, which has been a great luxury for so many people. And I don't mean ignorance is insulting. Ignorance means we just don't know. And there's a lot of things we don't know. There's people who don't know how to cook their own food. They take the pizza out of the freezer. They take the plastic off and they stick it in the oven. Right? They take the microwavable platter, they vent it, and stick it in the microwave. This is their understanding of cooking. They are ignorant to how to truly cook for themselves because other people cook for them. They've had this luxury. And it has been a luxury, and they're not wrong for having enjoyed it, but we are moving into times when we can't trust what we're being told because we're constantly being lied to. The systems in our lives that just magically produce things are becoming very unstable, and we need to start figuring out those things for ourselves. Where does meat come from? I know, I'm preaching to the choir here. A bunch of you are going, I know exactly where meat comes from. I make meat. I take the animal and I make the meat. Very simple. Very straightforward. For you, it is. For people like me, meat comes from the store. Okay? And being transparent and honest with you guys, I grew up in the suburbs, and that's how things were handled. But we don't have the luxury of being ignorant anymore. And whether that comes to nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, we are about to, I believe, get a serious education as a nation, as Western societies, on warfare. I know war has, for the last long bit, been something that happens over there. But war may be an experience that we start having to partake in. And when that happens, having knowledge, having a framework of how things sort of work is going to be very important. Having understanding where to get resources, how to scrounge things, how to turn something into something else that we need. When you can't find a spoon or a hoe, can you make one? When you need seeds, where do you get those from? How do you get those? How do you raise animals? All these things are important things that are skills and knowledge that we need to reacquire. And the time is growing very short for us to reacquire those things. The storm is coming. The thunder is rumbling. And as with any storm, the rumbling is going to get louder and louder, and more people are going to realize what's happening as it's coming. Channels like this on YouTube are exploding, and for good reason. People are going to their stores and seeing empty shelves. And the narrative is starting to crumble. And they're starting to ask questions. What do I do when there is no cream cheese? What do I do when there is no milk? What do I do when there is no flour or wheat or no bread? When there's no Texas toast in the refrigerated freezer section, what do I do about that? Friends, welcome aboard. I know this is preaching to the choir a bit, but hopefully this is putting this framework out there and a little bit of a slap on the wrist maybe to some of you about we can't just grow up in some areas. We're going to have to grow up in all areas. For those of us who don't have training or experience with boomsticks, we need to kind of acquire some of that. Hopefully we never have to use it. We need to have an understanding of what to do with nuclear weapons. Hopefully we never have to use that. We need to get a better idea of what to do when somebody has a crisis situation medically. We need to be getting up to speed on how to care for somebody who has a serious disease or a serious injury. All these things. We need to be comprehensive, not just specialists. The luxury of that has passed. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That was a heavy one. But we're going to get through this one way or another. Class is going to be in session shortly. Keep doing your homework to get ahead on things because it's going to make things a whole lot easier once class starts. But God bless you all, and I will see you again here tomorrow.